Stacy, want to go play some kickball?
Not really. Last time we played kickball, I got a bloody nose.
Ooh, did Susan hit you in the nose with a kickball?
No, I was running to first base, tripped over my shoelaces, and face planted into the dirt.
Well, hey, let's go play anyway.
Hey, do you guys think we should invite the new kid to play with us?
Are you talking about the new kid over there that came to the school yesterday?
Yeah, Mr. Periwinkle said that we should try to show kindness to her.
Well, I don't even know her, and my mom said not to talk to strangers.
Well, I don't think that she meant you couldn't talk to new kids at school. Come on, she doesn't have anybody to play with.
That's not my problem. She needs to get herself some friends of her own.
Yeah, besides, I don't have to be nice to her, okay? I don't have time. I have to go blow up a bunch of balloons so I can give them to my neighbor so he can tie them to his house and fly up into the sky and get to Paradise Falls.
Fitzy, that's the plot line from the movie Up. And plus, if you want to help your neighbor, you have to start with the new kid.
What? The new kid ain't his neighbor.
Jesus said that our neighbor is anyone who's in need. And this new kid really needs friends. We should go be nice to her.
But I'm scared.
Yeah, and I don't know what to say.
And I'm from the Bronx. New kid? Ain't nobody got time for that.
I have balloons to go blow.
You know, Stacy's right. They really should reach out and be kind to the new kid. But the other kids are just making excuses as to why they can't be a good neighbor. Jesus told a story of someone who was in need. Several people had a chance to help the person, but they didn't. Then along came someone who was supposed to be the enemy of the person in need. Instead, they helped him big time. After the story, Jesus asked the big question we're learning from today. Which one would you say was a good neighbor? Obviously, the good neighbor was the one who reached out to help the person in need. In your lesson today, you are going to learn the importance of helping others when they are in need. Whether it's a new kid at school, the homeless in your community, or someone in your own neighborhood, we must reach out to help the hurting and be a good neighbor. My name is Kayla, and I'll see you next time when we study more of Jesus' questions.
What hell?
Oh boy, here we go again. What do you want this time, Inquisitor?
No one questions the Inquisitor. Don't you know this by now? The time is nigh.
The time is what?
Nigh. The time is nigh. That means that the time is now. See? Here on my watch. It says 9:15. No matter. The time has come to breathe deep the cool air that is the Inquisitor's questions of, inquisitiveness.
Okay, let's get this over with.
Indeed, question time. What came first? The chicken or the egg? What came second? The bacon or the pig? What came third? The corn dog or the mini corn dog?
Did you not eat breakfast or something?
What came fourth? The ham or the burger? What came fifth? The pineapple or the bowling ball?
Oh my goodness, you're driving me crazy.
That's what Greg said.
Who's Greg?
My neighbor. Well, he was my neighbor. I asked him so many crazy questions that he couldn't take it anymore, and boom! Greg exploded.
What? You exploded your neighbor? That's terrible.
Not really. Greg was a piñata. Here. Have some. He's delicious.
Your neighbor was a piñata?
That's the only kind of neighbor I could get. The house next to me stays empty all the time. I guess I just asked too many silly questions. So I bought a piñata, named him Greg, and asked him so many questions, he exploded. That's a pretty normal day for me.
I don't think there's a single normal thing about you. That is not what a neighbor is supposed to be like. In fact, Jesus asked a question about neighbors, and that's the same question that we're talking about today. He asked, which of these would you say was a neighbor?
That's pretty easy. My neighbor was Greg until he exploded. Anybody that lives in the house next to yours is your neighbor.
That is only one way of putting it. Jesus meant that everybody is our neighbor. I'm a neighbor, you're a neighbor, all of these kids are our neighbors, and today we're learning about how to be a good neighbor.
Let me guess. Rule number 1, don't blow them up.
Pretty much. That's how it works, but I was going to say that a good neighbor has compassion. That means when you care about somebody and other people more than yourself. A good neighbor also takes action.
Ha! Yeah! Like that kind of action?
No, I meant they see someone in need and they take action to help that person.
You have astounded me, O Captain Astounder. I shall return to whenceforth I came and bathe my brain in these brilliant bemusings.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna go backstage and think about it for a little bit. But before I do, I have one final question for you. Huzzah! Are snakes just legless lizards? Or did God make them by getting some Play-Doh and rolling them with his hands?
What?
No one questions the Inquisitor. Bye, kids.
Oh, hey kids, it's Coach. Today's kind of a bittersweet day for me as it's my last day in the kitchen. The lunch ladies are returning tomorrow, but they did something really special. They got me a little gift basket. I'm gonna show you some of the things they got me. Well, the first thing they got, Coach is missing a little bit of hair, so they got me some hair. So like for fancy days, I got that. Oh, I also got me a shoe. I'm always losing my shoe, so they just got me one, so then I wouldn't be so sad when I lost it. And then they got me something I was a little confused about. They got me, well, maybe I'll grow into them. But anyways, Coach feels good. I feel excited. I feel loved. Let's do our power verse together, okay? Be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. Ephesians 4:32. Now today, Coach could really use some help doing the power verse. How about the girls' help? On the count of 3, all you girls stand up and we're going to say the power verse together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. Ephesians 4:32. Great job, girls. You can have a seat. But now it's time for the boys to get up. Okay, boys, we're going to do the power verse together on the count of 3. All right, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. Ephesians 4:32. Great job, boys. You can have a seat. Now, this makes Coach think, early on, I was kind of feeling a little bit underappreciated. But this basket full of goodness made me feel good. So I say to you, hey, go out there, be a good friend, find somebody you can do something great for. It'll just make their day. So let's do the power verse one more time together, and this time with our physical challenge. This time what we're gonna do, when I say 3, you're gonna spin as fast as you can, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. Ephesians 4:32. Great job, everybody. You can have a seat if you haven't already fallen over. Well, Coach is going to get back to the gym, and no technical fouls issued today. You're amazing. Have a great week.
Today we're learning from the story of the Good Samaritan. Jesus told this story to a crowd because many of them did not understand that they are to love and show kindness to everyone, not just the people that are like them. Jesus told the story of a Jewish man being beaten and robbed. Several other Jews, including a Levite and a priest, passed right by the man and did not offer to help him. Do you remember who did stop and help the Samaritan? That's right, the Samaritan stopped to help the Jewish man, even though Jews were known for hating the Samaritans. Nobody would have blamed the Samaritan for passing him by, but that's not what happened. The Good Samaritan was the only one who stopped to help the man. So Jesus asked the crowd, which would you say was a neighbor? Of course, the Good Samaritan was the only one who acted like a good neighbor. We can learn a lot from looking at how the Good Samaritan responded to the man in need. Let's see what a good neighbor does. A good neighbor has compassion. Compassion is a feeling you have for a person in need. Compassion says, I want to help that person. When you see a person who is hurting or in need, you must have a heart that feels compassion for them. If it doesn't move your heart when you see the homeless on the side of the road, or the kid that has no friends, or the child who can't afford nice things, then you should pray that God changes you. A true Christian should be moved with compassion when they see someone in need. Compassion is great, but it's not enough. It's not enough just to feel compassion for someone in need. Instead, the compassion you feel should move you to the next step. A good neighbor takes action. A good neighbor does more than just have feelings of compassion toward those in need. After all, if compassion never leads to action, the person in need is never really helped, are they? What if the Good Samaritan had stopped at the compassion step? Would he have felt bad for the man in need and then just kept on walking? Then the man would still be hurting, right? Instead, the Good Samaritan allowed compassion to move him to action. He stopped and did something to help the man who was hurting. We must do the same thing. There is no doubt you see someone who is in need and you feel bad for them. You must allow the feelings turn into action. Do something for that person in need. Don't just do something, but a good neighbor makes a sacrifice. The Good Samaritan didn't just do something. He went above and beyond. He bandaged the man's wounds and put him up in a hotel and paid the bill for the man until he got well. No doubt that cost him a lot of money, but he was willing to do whatever it took to help that man. You know, Jesus did the same thing for us. He sacrificed everything, including his own life. He did that to save us from our sins. We should follow his example and be willing to do whatever it takes to help those around us in need. Whether it's the new kid at school, or your next door neighbor who doesn't have enough food for lunch, or the homeless person on the side of the road, we must be willing to help whenever we see people in need. A good neighbor has compassion for the hurting, he's moved to action, and is willing to make a sacrifice. Are you a good neighbor? Lord, I pray right now that you would help us see those around us in need, that you would give us compassion for the lost and for people that we can help, that you would help us to take action and to make sacrifices to help those in need and treat people like you would treat them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Brain drain.
What happened to the man in today's Bible story as he was traveling the road? Was he beaten and robbed? He found treasure? Or he had a wreck? The answer is he was beaten and robbed.
How many people passed by and did not help the man? 1, 2, or 3? The answer is 2.
Who stopped to help the man? A Levite, a priest, or a Samaritan? The answer is a Samaritan.
Who paid for the hotel room the man stayed in? The Samaritan, the man's mom, or a doctor? The answer is the Samaritan.
Were the Levite and the priest considered good neighbors? Yes or no? The answer is no.
According to our lesson today, a good neighbor has love, hate, or compassion. The answer is compassion.
According to our lesson today, a good neighbor takes action, nothing, or cookies. The answer is action.
According to our lesson today, a good neighbor makes a card, sacrifice, or promise. The answer is sacrifice.
Where was our power verse found? Ezekiel 7:24, Matthew 3:13, or Ephesians 4:32? The answer is Ephesians 4:32.